What is good, my people? This is the Coach Blueprint Show, and I am excited because on this show, we focus on folks who are looking to take their coaching business to the next level. You have something in your heart you want to give. You got some experience, some expertise. You have something you learned, something you've been educated on, and you said, "I want to be able to give this to the world." But how do I package this? How do I create this in a way that people are going to find it valuable? How do I get the mentality to be able to go out and do this in a confident way? Or how do I generate the sales and get clients to transform lives? So on this Coach Blueprint Show, that is exactly what we focus on, and our goal is to bring on the folks that we can help, and that got some momentum, right? So the goal is to kind of have you be on a fly on the wall to get coached and or learn from the folks who are actively going through the process or starting or beginning this process. So that is why we do the Coach Blueprint Show. And I'm excited because today we have Coach Edwards. So we're going to bring him in 3, 2, and 1. Coach Edwards.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I am here. I am here.
All
Excited.
right.
Yes, I am. Yes, I
All
am.
right, man. I love it. I love it, man. I mean, you built a phenomenal brand, just throughout the years with your Expect Greater. And you've been changing a lot of lives of people, speaking all over the world, making things happen, just going into these schools. I mean, you in these schools heavy. You know what I
Oh yes.
mean?
Oh yes.
Change,
Oh yes.
helping these sports teams, all types of teams. You've been helping soccer teams, baseball teams, football teams, basketball teams. I mean, you name, I don't know, you name a sport you didn't help going into high school. Like you've been doing your thing, man. So for the folks who this may be their first time being introduced to you, just say a little bit about who you are, where you from, who you help, and then let's jump into it.
My name is Edward Surratt, and my niche is middle and high school students. I work with adults too, but my major niche is middle and high school students, working with different sports teams for all different aspects of athletics, and it's been a blessing. It's been a great blessing. I'm located right here in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. So I'm down south. I'm down south, but I've been blessed to work with so many different teams and people throughout the country, throughout several countries. So that's what I am. That's what I do. So I love it. I love it. I love it.
I love it. All right, so I wanted to do this one a little bit different, kind of a little bit more interview style today, and I want folks to. So we have a lot of folks who follow us that are just getting started on this journey. So I'm kind of curious to know, what got you on this journey to wanting to do coaching and speaking and helping your audience. Like, how did you know this is for you? Because we got some folks who it's an idea, but they don't really know, should I really do this or pursue this as a business? So how did you know, like, how did you kind of get into it and know that this was for you?
Well, wow. First of all, I've always worked with young people, worked with the Boys and Girls Clubs, communities, and schools. So I've always done that. And when I realized I was having an impact, making an impact in their lives, I'm like, wow, okay, this is a path. I really enjoy doing it. Really enjoy doing it. And it wasn't until I met a coach. I'm like, coach. What is a coach? What is And not an athletic coach, just coaching people to help them get to that next level of greatness. And so it was then that the light bulb went off, and I'm like, well, I have so much to share. I have so much to share, and it just took off from there. Wanting to share my story, wanted to share the messages, wanted to share my life because all of us, whether you're in your 50s, 40s, 30s, 60s, 70s, we all have a story to tell. And my main focus was to help young people not make the mistakes I made as a teenager, as a young adult. So that was my focus. That was my focus. So just with that mindset there, it allowed me to get on major stages. It allowed me to travel the world. It allowed me to really speak to young people, speak, in the audience in different countries. But it was just that mindset of being able to, you just sharing a story with young people and seeing how they light up. Like, wow, you've been through the same thing I'm going through now. You've been through it. Wow, how did you overcome how did you overcome that? So realizing that aspect of it really opened my eyes to say, you know what? this is pretty cool. Shaping lives of future leaders, shaping lives of future doctors, shaping lives of future lawyers and firemen and policemen. It's shaping lives of our leaders of tomorrow. So it started right there. It started at that point there, and I've never looked back. Just never looked back. So it is continuing to really help young people
Mhm.
everywhere I
Right.
go. So that's what I've been doing.
So obviously we started working together at some point. But before we worked together, you said you were already taking steps. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna take some steps to do it. What was your approach to how you were trying to build this business before? Obviously you got some of the strategies and things that we got working together. What was your approach? Maybe, kind of what was your mentality? What were you thinking? How are you feeling? And what were some of the things that you were doing?
Well, the I guess I didn't really have a strategy. So it was like just it was almost like cold calling or knocking on doors. Hey, I can come in and help. I can come in and let me do this. So people knew me from my speaking, people knew me from my preaching, people knew that I had a passion to help young people. But I didn't have a structure. I didn't have that blueprint. I didn't have the blueprint to make it happen on a consistent basis. I didn't have the blueprint to make it happen step by step. So I didn't have that. So now that I have a true blueprint in front of me, I'm able to take someone from A to Z rather than going from A to D, coming back to B, then going to H, and then coming back. So now I have a blueprint. And so by putting it by implementing a true blueprint, I've been able to really uh, get my coaching career business on, just really having it going. I mean, in a positive way, in a very positive way. So
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds good, right? So you were kind of just out here making things happen, right? Which, by the way, that's like a lot of us. I was the same thing when I started. It was just like, let me just go out here and just, I know it can be done, but I don't necessarily have a strategy. But I'm just out here just trying things and just doing what I think I should do, right? Which is what a lot of folks do when they begin, when they start this industry. So then at some point we get introduced, right? We come together, and then I say, hey, I can help you, and we kind of go through that thing, right? What hesitations, if any, did you have before working together? Like, before you said yes, like what were some of the hesitations? Because some people out here want to get coaches, but they might have a few reservations about certain things. So, like, what were kind of going through your mind that kind of had you
well,
pump faking a little bit before doing it?
I guess maybe one of the biggest hesitations is the investment. The financial aspect, because a lot of people look at that and go like, do I want to pay X amount of dollars for a coach, or can I do it on my own? And people don't realize you're making that investment in yourself. But also, when you're looking for that coach, look at the people that they've helped. Look at the people that they've been able to help transform lives. So my biggest hesitation was like, okay, will this really work? Because like many of us, we've spent money with other coaches, spent money with different training programs, spent money here, there, and everywhere without any results. So that hesitant was like, okay, do I want to spend money again on something that may or may not work? But you have to have it in within you to say, I'm going to make that investment. I'm going to make that investment and and go for it and really just put it all in. Even with that, I realize people who are on the fence about making that investment in themselves, they're on the fence because they haven't fully invested in themselves. Because if you want the results, you have to do the work. If you want the results, you have to do the work. Just like any, I equate everything to athletics. If you want to play in the game, you gotta show up in practice. You have to show up in practice. You have to do what needs to be done in the off season. All the hard work is done in the off season. All the hard work is done in the off season. So when it's time to get back going, you're ready. But you got to perform in practice. You have to show up in practice. And oftentimes people want a quick fix. They want, okay, I want to start today. I want to have 20 clients tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. You have to make that investment within yourself, put the time in. Yes, your 9 to 5 pays your bills, but your 6 to 12 builds your legacy. So it's up to you how you want to. It's up to you how you want to present that, how you want to take that, how you want to swallow that pill. You know, yeah, you can be up, and I know we all have things, and I'm kind of hoping I'm not getting off tangent,
No,
but we
no.
all have things that come up family, you got to spend time with family. Situations come up, life happens. But if you're serious about your business, if you're serious about leaving that 9 to 5 and making this a full-time job, if you're serious about that, you're going to find time to do it. You're going to find time to do it. Just like you find time to watch every movie that comes out, just like you find time to watch, you got Netflix and you got all these other streaming services, and people say, hey, have you seen XYZ? No, let me check it out. That may be a family time that you check it out, but then again, it may be on a Wednesday night that you're sitting in front of TV where you can be putting in time to build your legacy. So if you're not fully invested in yourself before you seek out a coach, you're already lost. You have to be fully invested in yourself and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Because the old saying is, you put the time in, you work hard today so you can live like you want to live tomorrow, in the future. So a lot of people don't understand that. Like I said, they want a quick
Hmm.
fix. They want to be able to say, hey, I got a coach. I call Coach T. I signed up and I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I went through his program. I don't have any clients, but have you done the work?
Come on now.
Have you done the work?
Come on, man. Edward, man. You
Yeah,
talking that
yeah.
talk right now. Oh man. We
I
was
mean,
gonna get to the points where you was actually gonna give some game away, but you already dropped like an atomic bomb of game. Cause no, that's really true. And and this is an enlight word, an enlighted Edward, ladies and gentlemen, because he wasn't talking like this when we first got right. He's learned some things, which is great, right? And but that, man, that's absolutely true, man. And a lot of times we want results quicker than necessary, and a lot of times we just weren't willing to put in the work. I used to watch way more TV. I used to do way more things that wasn't in alignment with my purpose, and then wonder why the purpose was taking so long to come. Right? I was barely given any time for my gifts, but then wondering why it wasn't flourishing the way that I wanted to flourish. Right? And we got to give time and energy and effort and our own money and energy into the thing that we want. And it's gonna grow. Just like you pay attention to a garden, the more you take care of that garden, it's gonna grow. Right. So it's the same thing. So okay, so now with that being said, what actually made you say yes? Because you had some of these hesitations, like, should I really invest? Is it really worth the money? It could be like money is tight, or I'm not sure, or is it really worth it? Like, so what put you over the edge and say, you know what? Let me just go ahead and move forward, because some people make a different decision, and this is why they stay stagnant for months or years. I had a lady that was stagnant for like 20 years because she couldn't get herself to invest, right? So what actually made you say yes and get the ball rolling?
I guess several things made me say yes. I mean, um, I prayed about it first and foremost, and prayer works. So that was my biggest yes, biggest reason for saying yes. But just having the initial conversation with you, and I'm like, okay, and then having a serious conversation with myself. Again, going back to what I stated earlier, I had to have that conversation with myself, and a real conversation. Am I going to put the work in? Am I willing to do the work, or am I just going to throw money away? You know, and that was the conversation I had to have with myself, and that's the one you know, once I'm not going to say I convinced myself, but once I realized that, I understood what my whys are. People say once you realize what your why is, that's what you're doing. Once I realized what my why was, and I'm like, okay, then I really heard my why. But then I had to say, okay, am I willing to put the work in? Am I willing to get off work, get off my regular 9 to 5, and come home and take a breather, eat something, and do that, and then put the work in? Am I willing to do that? And I began to look around, and I guess one of the things, as I told you, we had just built a new house, and I had a goal of, my goal is paying off the house way, 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 way ahead of time. And so all those factors came into play. But the main factor, prayer, but the main factor was, am I ready? Am I going to do the work? Am I willing to do the work? Nothing against any other programs that I invested in, but the reason they failed is because I failed. The reason they failed is because I failed. But then when I got with you, I heard sincerity. I heard sincerity in what you were presenting. I heard sincerity, and that made a difference. I heard sincerity, and you had a plan. You had a plan. It wasn't, It wasn't a fly by night plan. You emphasize, you work this, it's going to work for you. You made some emphasis on that, and I'm like, okay. I kept hearing that, and I'm realizing, dang, if I put the work in, it's going to happen. But I have to make sure I put the work in. I can't wait for Coach T to do it for me. I can't wait for anybody else to do it for me. I have to put the work in. It's on me. And so I put all those factors together, and I'm saying, okay, I can do this. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, that's powerful. So, you mentioned that, there was some areas that you really needed to do better in and some areas that you were kind of failing in. And when we got together, we helped, change some things that allowed to get you on a faster trajectory. And we're gonna get to some of the big results even more recently that you've achieved. But I want to jump into some practical things that folks will really take away from this. So tell me about, or tell us about some of the big mistakes that you were making ahead of time, like that you were making before, right? Because now they always say, what they say, hindsight is always 2020,
2020.
right? Hindsight is always
Hindsight.
2020, right? So looking at some of the things you're doing today to get the results that you're getting today, what were you doing previously? Because I imagine that there's a lot of people that's in a position that's making some of those same mistakes right now, right? So what were some of the things you were doing previously that was really slowing down your progress?
I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe 100% in myself. And that's one thing. If you're serious about the coaching business, you want to be this coach, you're serious about being a speaker, you're serious about this, you have to believe that you are in your purpose of doing it. And even when you believe that you're in your purpose of doing it, you have to take it a step further and walk in that purpose. So although I was believing I was in my purpose, I was waiting for the purpose to come to me rather than me walking in that purpose and making it happen. So that was the biggest change. That's the biggest um, change that I've made. I'm like, okay, I sit back waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like, nothing is happening. But one day you wake up and look in the mirror and go like, nothing has happened because you're not making it happen. And I can't look at anybody else, but I'm looking at me in the mirror. So that was my wake up call. The reason it didn't happen because I didn't take it serious. I'm thinking things are going to come to me and me not having to put as much time in it that I needed to. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that anybody can make when you're starting out in business. You have to put that time in. And that time requires you to, stay up late at night. That time requires you to tell your kids, you still got to find time for them. But that time, you have to really balance the time. You have to really truly balance that time. And like I said, life is going to happen. But if you're serious about getting to that next level, you're going to balance that time out. And that's something that I didn't do. I, somebody called me up like, hey, man, you want to ride here? Let's go. I didn't have to. But now all that's changed where I'm able to say, nah, I got stuff I need to do. No, I got to send, I can't go. Now we plan it out for 2 weeks ahead of time, maybe a week ahead of time. Okay, cool. But the last minute calls where can you come here? Let's run to the movie, let's go to the movies. I had to stop that. And having, you have to do those things. You have to do those things. You have to do those
Mhm.
things. And
Yeah, that.
if you're not ready to do those things, you're not ready for business. You're not ready to
Mhm.
do this. You're not ready to do this job.
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, it takes. I did a post the other day too, and I was talking about some of the things that and sometimes sacrifice has a negative connotation to it, but that's really what it is. It's like it's certain things that you really got to give up. I was like, I don't know when's the last time since like the Super Bowl, I watched a full football game, or maybe if it's a major fight, I'll watch a major boxing match. But I love football, I love basketball, I love boxing and these different things, but there's a time and place for everything, and I actually noticed the more that I'm scheduled, the freer my time is. That makes sense, right? It's because when I know, and we can still achieve our purpose, and we can still do all of the things that we want to do. But when you're able to have more of a structure to your time, you can enjoy the things at a certain time and not any time where it compromises your vision, it compromises your dream, it compromises the gift that God placed in you to be able to fulfill. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so with that, it's been a big realization for me, but it also gives me a lot of comfort knowing that I'm gonna achieve my goal because eventually, and I forgot where I said this. I might have said this to maybe I was on a coaching call earlier, but I said as long as you don't give up, you're gonna win. As
Yes,
long
sir.
as you just keep going, because most people, 99% of people are going to quit. They're going to give up. They're going to stop. They're going to get frustrated. But as long as you keep going, you will get there eventually. You will win. Obviously, we'll get there faster with the help of somebody who's already been there before us, but got to stay in the game. So that's
Got to.
that's that's really important. So okay, so we went through some of the mistakes. How about sharing what are maybe two or three of the biggest changes in your business that you made since working together, right? You know, I know we've been talking a lot about a lot of different areas, right? You know, kind of lead generation, follow up. I mean, just different things. But what were like some of the like two or three of the biggest shifts you made that allowed you to get some of the results? Because that's what we're going to get into next. But what is some of the major shifts that you made?
The major shift is time management. That is the major that and that right there is so important. Time management. Again, if you're serious about being a coach, you're serious about being a time management has to be at the top of the list because you have to manage that time in order to get the results. You have to manage that time in order to be successful. So time management has been the biggest. Time management and truly believing in myself. Those are the two biggest aspects. Time management and believe that I deserve it. Believe that I deserve it. Believe that I deserve it. People will say, one of my goals is I'm gonna get me a Corvette. I'm gonna get me a Corvette, and I shared that with some people, and people ask me, so well, how is it gonna look for a preacher to drive a Corvette to church? I said, I'm gonna look good in mine. I don't know about y'all. So, I mean, that's just my goal. That's my goal. I want a Corvette, and it's not about the material things, but I believe that I deserve it. I believe that I deserve it. And many people, you have that goal, you do time management, and when you start believing in yourself, you know, believe that you deserve it. Believe that if someone's going to write you a check for $5,000 or an hour, believe that you deserve it. Believe that you deserve it. And I believe that I deserve that and more. So it's not arrogance, it's not cockiness, it's just my belief in who I am and me walking in my purpose. And I understand that. So those are the two biggest things, time management and believing in myself. Those are the two biggest things uh, that's increased that I've really hung on to since we've been working together, and I hold on to them. Even on my 9 to 5 job, I'm time management, and I'm like, okay. And I hear you talking like there's times in the day where you can do X, Y, Z. I'm going like, no, there isn't. And I'm like, and the more I hear that, I'm like, well, there are times where I can make calls, or I can use my phone to send an email, this, that, and the other. So everything's, everybody has smartphones now. So there's no excuse. I mean, yeah, sometimes your job you can't do it, but I have downtime on my job. So I've learned to use time management during my downtime, and it's proven profitable in downtime. So I'm not doing anything against the company I work for, but when I have nothing to do, I'm sitting there. I can go in there with everybody else and watch TV and laugh and cut up. But I'm like, oh, I spend my time sending emails. I spend my time, checking up on following up on a call. So it's worked. It's worked. So time management and believe in myself. Believe in myself. I mean,
Mhm.
I just keep hearing that, especially time management. Time
Man,
management.
that's so key, man. And I think that's something that we all need to learn as we're continuing to level up. And I'm glad you took away. I'm glad you took that away, which was interesting because I was a time management like productivity coach, like before I came into this role, working with coaches and speakers specifically. So I'm glad you took a lot away from that aspect. And yeah, even with me because it's many of us you work beforehand. But what was interesting is even before I went full time, I did time management was huge, and it's the same kind of breakthroughs that you had is what I had. I'm like, oh, hold on. I used to think that things took more time than it actually took. So in my mind, it was like, well, I can't really reach out because I don't have the time to, or I can't send the emails, or I can't follow up, or I can't send the DMs, or I can't make a phone call or two. And but the thing was, it wasn't that I didn't have the time, is that I wasn't strategically planning when I had time. Because there was people who were taking 15-minute smoke breaks at the job, or you know what I'm saying, or would
Right.
take, or you get a nice long 30-minute or hour lunch break, or you know what I'm saying, and so there's time or maybe you had an hour scheduled for this meeting, but the meeting ended in 45 minutes, right? So then now you got an extra 15 minutes. See, these are different times and downtimes and available time we have in our schedule that we don't really leverage like that. And when I started doing that, it started allowing me to get ahead faster and faster and faster, in addition to doing the right things, right? In addition to getting the leads, or following or running ads and following up with the leads that we have, and just leveraging those different things. So over time, that all of these good actions are going to stack up over and 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 over. So that's really key. So you started doing some great things, time management. So what are some of the results that you've been able to get? And you told me a huge contract that you landed recently. I want to say within the last month. So I guess talk to us about some of the this is your time to brag on yourself, because I want folks to know, what's possible, especially when they get the help.
Uh, well, I mean, even before I get to the big contract, I mean, um, I've had smaller contracts, and one of the myths, a big myth, is you can talk yourself out of money. There are a lot of companies, there are a lot of nonprofits. They have money that they have to spend in a certain manner, and you have to be able to just know what, not even say know the money they have, but knowing that they can do it. Again, going back to believing in yourself, believing that you deserve it. And someone gave me information on this nonprofit in the area, and I was able to secure it's a $60,000 contract. It's over 18 months, but still $60,000 contract. That money they had to spend, and they had to spend it in a specific area. And just so happens the area is what I do. The area is coaching. The area is being an empowerment coach, just a coach. So that's one of the like I said, that's a
Well,
big
how
one.
much that contract is again? I just want to make sure I heard it
Uh,
correct.
to be exact, it's like 58.7, but I rounded off to 60,000.
Right, there it is. Come on, man, let's go. I love it.
But but yeah, I mean, and like I said, we can't be afraid to ask. You can't be afraid to ask. You know, you may have to give up. As old folks say, you may have to prime the pump a little bit, give away something free, but don't be afraid to ask, because a lot of nonprofits, they get a lot of grant money, and this is a grant funded position, and so a lot of them get a grant money, and and you just have to have the person to do that. Now, I mean, for this, I do 3 days a week, maybe, and I can do it. I've I've been doing it virtual on Zoom, for an hour, 2 hours. The most I've done last week, I done I think 4 hours on Zoom, an hour and a half one day, hour and a half. Then I did a follow up. So, and it's simple, but they had money they had to spend, and I just happened to spend it on me. But I've had smaller contracts where I work with teams. I work with just coaching teams, and I had months where I was making 10 to 12,000 a month. Money they had to spend, and it's like I'm like, wow. And you just go in there and you're telling them again. My niche is helping young people not make the mistakes I made when I was young. So now I'm talking from experience. I'm telling them, you keep hitting that brick wall, you're going to hurt yourself. There's a better way. Let's go around the brick wall. Well, how do I go around it? Let's look at that. Now let's give them a roadmap how to get around that brick wall. So you teaching them life skills. You teaching them things that you went through. And we all have a story to tell. Nobody's watching this, listen to this. None of us are perfect. So we all have a story to tell to help someone not make the mistakes we made. And that's my whole plan of attack right there. I don't want you to make the mistakes I made. If I can help you not, you keep speeding, you're gonna get a speeding ticket. Slow down. But why? You going, no matter where we're going, if you and I both leave out today and we're headed to New York, and you go up 85 and I go up 95, you may get there faster, but we still want to get there. We still want to get there. So working in my niche has helped me secure a lot of opportunities to speak. Working in my niche has allowed me to secure opportunities to travel, not only
Wait,
throughout our country, but several other countries.
say some of the places I know you. I mean, you travel some places that most speakers don't get a chance to travel and speak. So where's some of the places you got a chance to speak at?
God, Cuba, Philippines, Been to Uganda twice, Amsterdam. Um, I'm working on a contract now. We're going back to Uganda to work with a soccer league in Uganda. So trying to make that happen is pretty cool. That's gonna be so much fun. And I got a call from working on going back to Uganda and working on Nigeria. Really want us to come. Really want me to come to Nigeria, and so I'm working on that. And when I look at that, the Nigeria trip, just say Nigeria trip, the package itself is about $30,000, and that includes now how much is that coming to me? Half of that's coming to me. I would say a little bit over half is coming to me. But you got to realize, you're talking about the flight, the hotel, the food, all those things to get over there. They're taking care of you while you're there, but still, you're getting, 10 to 15,000 coming back to me to go over there and work with their soccer league. It's a soccer league. The soccer league is in Uganda. I'm sorry, the soccer league is in Uganda that they're working with. So the opportunities are there, but if you don't believe in yourself, the opportunities are going to pass you by. The
Mm,
opportunities will
man,
pass you by if you do not believe in yourself. The
man,
opportunities will pass you by.
that's super powerful. Now, obviously, there's a lot of professional benefits, but there's also a lot of personal benefits that you've been able to achieve working together too. Are there any things that you can think of? I know you kind of mentioned time management, being more productive, confidence. What you can either expand on that, or is there anything else, or just any other areas, I guess, more personally that you've been able to learn too? Because when you build when people don't realize when you build a business that you're also building yourself and your own character that can be applicable to any and every area of your life,
Oh yes,
right?
oh yes.
So are there any other benefits, whether you knew of or maybe you didn't know this was going to happen, that that you kind of noticed as you're becoming more successful in achieving more things and impacting more lives? Anything
Wow.
coming to mind?
Nothing really comes to mind because, and I say that in a strong way because I'm walking in my purpose. So as I'm walking in my purpose, and as I know that I'm walking in my purpose, the opportunities are coming. The doors are opening. So nothing, it allows me to grow. It allows me to grow personally. So that's a personal benefit because now, I don't have like financial goals. I don't have like materialistic goals, but I have goals like, okay, if I can reach 30 people, if I can help this group, if I can help that group, those are my wins. Those are my wins. And it comes with profit every now and then, but those are my wins. And so me growing as a person, even that, people ask me, is it too late for me? It's not too late for you. It's not too late for anybody. I just found out that I'm 57.
It is.
but, but no, I'm still growing. I'm still growing and I'm still learning. So as I grow, as I mature, as I learn, I'm able to share more wherever I go. And some of you know that I'm a pastor as well, and had to learn how to separate the two. Had to learn to separate being a pastor, preaching, and speaking. There's two different things, preaching, speaking, and as a pastor, yeah, you do you consult people, um, but then as a coach, you're really driving them, you're helping them get to another level. And so I had to learn how to separate all of that because, being a preacher, that comes with the territory. Like, okay, well, I need to talk to you about whatever, whatever, and you don't get paid for that. That just comes with being a pastor. But now you're getting into the coaching section. Now I'm giving you a roadmap to help you get to that next level. I'm charging you for that. Why? Because I've learned. I've been trained. I have a roadmap. I have the blueprint. I can help you get to that level where you want to go. So again, this believing in yourself, that's one of the main things that I see a lot of people, even the young people. I don't I would try out for the team, but I'm not big enough. I'm not fast enough. But do you believe in yourself? Well, I don't. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in yourself? And I've had, I've been doing this. Before I started coaching professionally, working with young people who had that same attitude. But then you had those young people say, "Well, I know I'm not the fastest, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, but you know what? My goal is to be a coach. My goal is to uh, to be an athletic trainer. My goal is to be the chaplain of a team. My goal is to, there's so many different aspects of professional sports or even high school and college, well, I'm gonna say college sports, that I may not be able to dribble the basketball, but there has to be someone who sets things. There has to be a general manager. There has to be a manager of the team. So now
Mhm.
you're looking at different aspects, and now I'm able to shift kids' mindset to like, well, I want to run the ball, but what about owning the team? You know, I tell my basketball players, your goal should be higher than 10 feet. What do you mean, Surratt? The goal is 10 feet, but your goal should be higher than 10 feet. Don't just look at playing on that playing field. Look at owning that field. Yeah, you can do that. So instilling in young people, instilling in young adults to believe in yourself. Set a goal, believe in yourself, make it happen, make it happen, make it
Yeah,
happen.
that's key right there. And I also say that too because as you're talking, I'm also it's making me think about even when I started in my progression through this journey, really since 2015. And personally, there's a lot of characters, there's characteristics that I've noticed that I've been able to do better that's been applicable to my entire life. Obviously, the one we've been talking about a lot today, confidence, right? Like that's been super key. Just it allowed me to realize that the more that I learn and the more that I'm willing to execute and take action, it personally gives me more confidence. It's, sometimes we have the ability to say, sometimes we say, well, I don't really have that much confidence because I don't know that much, or, I don't have that much results, I don't have that much experience. But that is the very thing that you need to go get. That's not an indicator to not do anything. That's an indicator to get going and get started so you can get the
Exactly.
experience, because the confidence is going to come from the experience because you've done it before, right? So that has helped me a lot. Communication has helped me huge, right? Personally, like knowing how to communicate with clients, knowing how to communicate with people I want to help, knowing how to communicate, just being able to speak on video, speak on stages. Is this get that it allowed me to learn more about how people think. It allowed me to learn more, to communicate with different types of people, different types of personalities, different speaking styles to get through to certain types of people. I mean, leadership, being able to lead on people, lead audiences, lead a team as we're growing and scaling our own business as well. Just being able to lead consistently and lead by example and be that role model. I mean, it's is there certain characteristics that it makes it better and easier for us to build a business when you become the person you need to be to achieve and make the impact that you want. So these are just, man, it's just this thing. And this is why I always say skill set. So what we do in our strategy calls now, one of the questions I ask everybody is I say, what is your biggest character flaw? It's one of the biggest things I ask. And I asked, and I never used to ask that question. That's really like a question I started asking probably like a year ago. I didn't ask it before the last year. I started asking it in the last year because because anytime we want to go to the next level, there's a reason we're not already at that level. And part of it is, yeah, you got the external stuff and maybe the money, maybe the time, maybe the resources. Yeah, that's external stuff. But let's flip the mirror on ourselves and say, okay, if you really had to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what characteristic, what am I flawed in, that's I maybe I'm seeing or maybe I'm not seeing, that's slowing down my success. And that's when I start to hear the answers like, well, you know what, I can be a little stubborn at times. That's when I hear the answer of procrastination. I'll hear the answer of my confidence is low, so I haven't really been putting myself out there. I'm fearful of success. So, and you start hearing some of those things, right, where it slows folks down. And I like asking it because I say, look, if we do end up working together, I want to know, I want to have that on my dashboard when it comes to you, because I know that that's an area that's going to slow us down, right? Because if I can't get you confident enough to take any action or confident enough to speak, I mean, part of what we do is educating people, helping people, demonstrating our expertise online. But if you're so fearful and scared and not confident that you can't put out a single piece of content to help somebody, obviously that's going to impact your ability to transform lives and build this as a profitable business. So these are so just some of the internal aspects is really key from a personal development standpoint. So that's powerful. So all right, so I got one more question for you. What do you say to that person that's on the edge right now? They kind of like, like, all right, I think I'm ready, but they just need a little bit more. They just need a little something else. What do you say to that person that's on the edge of getting the help right now, getting the coaching, or they know they need to maybe run the leads, or they know they need some help to take their business to the next level? What do you say to that person?
And the famous slogan of Nike, just do it. You need to go ahead and do it. You need to go ahead and do it because now is the time. There's no better time than now. There's no better time than now. You know, um, make it happen. Just do it. And you have to step out. Step out on faith. Do it. You have to do it. You know, if you're on the edge and without a concrete reason other than, well, I'm just don't. Do it. You need to do it. You really need to do it. I mean, because there's so many people can benefit off of your knowledge. So many people can benefit off of how you can help them and show them and help them grow. So many people can benefit. So many people can benefit. And I tell people, now is the time. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't know what tomorrow holds for us, but now is the time. Now is the time. Make it happen. Make it happen. But you have to be willing to put the work in. If you're not willing to put the work in, don't do it. If you got excuses already right now, you have excuses right now, don't do it because you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. You just need to put it on the shelf until you're really ready and really. But if you're on the fence, I say go for it. Go for it. Do it. Do it. Now is the time. Now is the time. Especially when you got a great support system there um, to help you and coach you and just give you all the tools, give you all the tools, I've learned past people that's tried to help me, you know, it's almost like making a cake. They've given me every ingredient to make the cake. And I'm like, okay, I'm mixing up everything. And when I come to the key thing that I need, they didn't give it to me. And I'm walking around looking around for the pan. How can I make the cake without putting the pan in? But they've given me all the ingredients. And I'm like, I missed it, I missed it, I missed it. So now you have opportunity to work with someone who's going to give you all the ingredients, all the utensils that you need to make that cake. So there's no time like now to do it. There's no time like now to truly, truly do it. There's no time like now to do it. And
Man,
yeah,
that,
encourage people. I encourage people to do that. I encourage people.
That's powerful, man. And I appreciate you, Edward. And thank you for being here today. And, you shared a lot of gems. If you need to watch this again, rewatch this over and over and over. There's a lot of hidden gems today. And could you share before we go just where folks can find you at, where they can follow your journey? You traveling all over the country, all over the world. People want to keep updated with what you got going on, Edward. So where can they find you at online?
You can find me on Facebook as Edward L. Surratt. On Instagram as I Expect Greater. So those are the two main ones that you'll see my travels. You'll see what I'm doing, where I'm going. Me sitting in the airport, you know, all these other places, and especially coming up, you're gonna see some things. The latter part of the latter part of this year, you're gonna see some places that where I'm headed to going. So I might be in your backyard. You never know. You never know. You never know. So yeah, you can follow me on social media on Instagram as I Expect Greater and um, Facebook is Edward L. Surratt, middle initial L. Surratt. So that's where I am.
Love it. It's Edward Surratt, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Edward. Appreciate you. And this
Thank you, man.
concludes the
Appreciate it.
Coach Blueprint Show. See everybody. Be great and change the world. Talk to you guys later. Let's work.